McNabb said, you may want to think about trading Tony Romo and Dez Bryant going forward because this is a young team that's all fallen behind their young talent, meaning Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. Think about this. Their defense has been playing outstanding. Going into the draft a pretty good wide receiver in the second round, go after a defensive player in the first round. Shannon, do you agree with McNabb that the Cowboys should trade Tony Romo and Dez Bryant?
I know D-Mac very well. He's very thought-provoking in his analysis. And when I first heard him say it, I'm like, D-Mac, you crazy. But then I started looking at it. And then I got I said, well, let me see what they're making. It's not crazy. It's not crazy. You get an opportunity to get up from under two bad contracts of injury-prone players. Mm-hmm. Tony Romo is 36. His history, he's not going to get healthier as he ages. Dez, last 2 years, injuries. If you could find trading partners for these two guys, it would save you $41.7 million. Skip, what could the Cowboys do with that defense and $41 million? Because if I look at it, I want to get rid of Dez for one reason. I want his negative influence out of the locker room. Mm-hmm. This is a very, very young football team. And the two stars on offense do not need to have that guy in their presence. I'm trying to remove him at all costs. Now, it's going to be very, very hard because he's making, his cap number next year is $17 million. That's a lot of money. I don't know very many teams that's going to be willing to take that contract on. And the Cowboys are probably going to want a high draft pick. Now, you lower the draft pick, you might be able to move him. Tony Romo's cap number next year, 24.7. For 36, he'll be 36 or 37 next year?
37.
He'll be 37. You want a cap hit for a 37-year-old, banged up, injury prone. He's going to miss at least 8 games this year. He missed 12 games last year. If you think about it, over the course of his brief career, 10 years, he's almost missed 2.5 years with injuries. So you can get rid of that bad contract. You can get rid of Dez's bad contract and Dez's attitude and have Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott with that young offensive line put and build on the defensive side of the football. Mm-hmm. Go get you a surefire, bona fide pass rusher in free agency. Maybe get you a linebacker and a corner. Jerry, you hadn't done this already?
I'm surprised on Dez. I'm not surprised that you're good with trading Tony Romo. But I thought even earlier this week you were still saying, no, you can't give up that kind of talent.
Skip, I want his negative influence out of there. I don't want my young guys to ever think it's acceptable to be late, to miss meetings, to be late, to show up for treatments. I don't want them to ever think this is acceptable. See, Jerry has made it acceptable. They see that.
Yep.
But here's the thing, Skip. They're rookies.
Yep.
What happens when they get 4 or 5 years into the league and after a couple of Pro Bowls and Rookie of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year? What's Ezekiel thinking then? Well, hell, Dez did it, and I'm a bigger star than Dez. I want him gone.
So I have to ask out loud. Are you sure that you don't have a hidden agenda here? That you want me to not have Dez the rest of the season because you think that would hurt them the rest of this year as opposed to going forward?
I don't know if you're going to be able to move him this year. But in the offseason, I'm not trading.
Okay, so we're not talking about at the trade deadline in your view.
Right.
Okay. I also know Donovan very well. I like Donovan a lot. Smart guy. Spent a lot of years hating my Dallas Cowboys and often tormenting my Dallas Cowboys as the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback. When I read this, I was stunned by the prospect of trading Dez with Romo. And yet, I'm with you. The more last night that I thought about it while the two of you were watching the baseball game. That's okay. It's okay. Yeah, it's all right. The more I thought about it, look, I loved it. He was my guy 2 years ago. I don't know how many times I did this, but I am with your analysis of this, and Donovan's is you need to get rid of the negative influence because as Ray Lewis, the great Ray, was sitting right here 2 days ago, we talked about unity and chemistry and football momentum, how it builds, how when it's time, and you can't get away. You can't get in the way of time when you're right on time. Something, how many times have I said this on the show? Something special is happening with this team right now because of those two kids. They're playing extremely high levels with supreme confidence behind the best line in football, and the defense is rising to their occasion. The defense is starting to feed off the offense, especially off that quarterback. So how can I can't comprehend trying to blend Dez Bryant and all that he stands for or doesn't stand for back into that flow. I don't know if he fits because he is a force, man. He's a force in the huddle. He's a force in the locker room. We've seen him be a force even in civvies on the sideline. He's screaming at Bryce Butler, how could you do that? And I'm saying, no, Dez, how could you not be out there doing what he should be doing, right? Okay, so I'm to the point where it finally occurred to me, I'm different from you. I don't want to wait until the offseason. These moves need to be made a week from this coming Monday at the trade deadline. This is when the value is highest, when people are most desperate. And this is when, and I need to know, because look, I want to win this year, right now. I want to close this deal the next 10 games. I need a Dez Bryant. I don't know if I need this Dez Bryant because I don't know if he fits, but I need that game changer, that difference maker that, as you've talked about before, man, when Dez, when he trots out there to the left side, you got to be pretty aware, right? And all of a sudden, little measly Beasley might only have single coverage this time instead of some bracket coverage. So in this case, if you could move him for another younger receiver, because somebody out there still thinks Dez Bryant is Dez Bryant, and he may well turn back into that force that is Dez Bryant, I'm good to go. I'm going to go to the highest level here. What if, and this is a huge if, what if the Oakland Raiders would say, you know what, Amari drops a lot of balls. I'm a big Amari Cooper fan, on and off the field. I like what he's made of. We've had him on the old show that I used to be on. You talk to somebody, you look in their eyes, and you say, he's made of the right stuff. He would blend into what they're building in Dallas. Rebuilding in Dallas. So what if the Raiders said, I know this is probably pie in the sky, but what if they said, we'll take Dez straight up for Amari Cooper? I'd do it in a second, okay?
I wouldn't. Now if I'm the Raiders, nope.
Okay, you wouldn't do it if you're the Raiders.
Right.
Okay, I got it. But I'm saying I would do it as a Cowboy fan.
Okay,
I'm yes, I'm doing that. What if, now I'm going to go down a notch. Marvin Jones Jr., he's now in Detroit from Cincinnati. He is leading the NFL very quietly in yards per catch because he can get behind people and he can outrun people. Again, not a star on the caliber of Amari Cooper, but somebody who could make a difference for Dallas because he'd blend in and give them a threat that they might not have with the other receivers right now quite as much. And maybe you get a draft pick and Marvin Jones. I need somebody to step in for Dez Bryant right now. I like Bryce Butler, but I don't love him. So again, you could have a group with one extra star power receiver that you would add. I don't know. I'm going to throw another one. Kelvin Benjamin. He's not a deep threat, but I just like him. Would Carolina say, yeah, Dez and Cam, maybe we'd have something? Would they pull that trigger right now? I'm talking about at this trade deadline so that there'd be another high caliber receiver added to the mix in Dallas for this year. I would do it because for all the reasons you say, the missed meetings, the mistreatment, just the whole Dez package plus the contract, I'm afraid of it right now.
If I'm Matt Stafford, I'm saying please don't do this because what we've seen from Matt Stafford, he's playing some of his best football
he is, I agree.
without Calvin Johnson because he doesn't feel obligated to force the ball to Calvin Johnson. He has Golden Tate, he has Marvin Jones Jr., he has guys that he can distribute the football to where he doesn't feel he needs to get 15 targets to Megatron. Because he was a great receiver and he required that. But now he can go through his read. He's just not, okay, there's 3 guys on Megatron, but that is Megatron. Let's just throw it up anyway.
I agree.
So he's playing his best football. For Benjamin, that's not gonna fly. Dez won't fly. The owner, Mr. Richardson, he's old school. He believes it in one way, and it's gonna be that way. Nobody is big enough that they can miss meetings, mistreatment, be late for things like that. He won't have it. He's too old school. So I don't think he's going to hang the phone up on Jerry if he calls and says, "I'll swap you Dez Bryant for Kelvin Benjamin." And why would you pay him $14 million when you didn't want to go to 12 to 13 to pay for Josh Norman. And clearly that's what you need on that side of the football. You need defensive help. So with that being said, with this young team, these young, impressionable guys, I'm going to try to get Dez out of this locker room as soon as I can because I don't want that negative influence. And I knock on wood, Skip. I was very fortunate. I came in, Dennis Smith, Steve Atwater. I saw the way they conducted themselves, and I conducted myself like that. And then I wouldn't allow anybody on my side of the football to get out of line. You're not coming late. I will, and the defensive guys, now, I don't know what happened once they left the major meeting.
Yeah.
You weren't coming late to Mike Shanahan's meeting. I already knew that.
No, I got it.
So there is no one there. There was no one there in the beginning to hold Dez accountable. And then when someone tried to hold him accountable, Jerry Jones would wrap his arms around him and say, I got you, Dez.
Yep.
As long as you go out there and get me 100 and a couple of touchdowns, Dez, I got you.
I'm with you. He was spoiled, rotten, and I fear spoiled beyond repair.
Well, I'm going to let somebody else try to repair him.
Okay? All right. So I'm back to the final point. I got to compliment our guy, Colin Cowherd, who's coming in a little while and sit right across from us. I like one of his theories, and only one of his theories, but the whole idea of the diva wide receiver is overrated. Like you don't need that guy because he can be as detrimental as he can be game-changing.
Right.
So Colin's saying, who needs them? Well, I'm starting to come around to that because I just saw what Dak Prescott did for 3 straight games, 2 of them on the road, without Dez Bryant, with him over there cheering on the sideline.
Yeah, Dak is a unique personality because he's not influenced by Dez yelling and screaming on the sideline, and he doesn't go back into the game saying, I need to get Dez the ball to calm him down. So very few guys, very few young guys at the quarterback position have that moxie inside of them, have enough confidence. It's like, I don't care what you do on the sideline. I'm going through my progressions, and whomever is open, that's who's getting the football.
Yep.
Most young guys, when Dez starts doing that on the sideline, they feel obligated to, and who knows, maybe Jason Garrett's like, look, we calling this play, we don't care, give Dez an opportunity to make the catch, make a play on the football. But Dak Prescott, to his credit, he has never been swayed by Dez's antics or by what he does on the field. Because I'm sure he's in the huddle, hey, man, give me a look at, and he's on the sideline. He sees that. He's yelling and screaming. But Dak, to his credit, is like, nope, I'm going through my progressions. You're not going to make me develop bad habits. And that's the thing that I like most about Dak. Yeah, he's playing well, but he hasn't developed bad habits playing with a #1 diva wide receiver.
Yep.
Well, Skip, you know better than anybody. We're always talking about what Tony and Dez mean to Jerry Jones. Could you see him getting rid of both of them? It's a lot.
Boy, it's a hard call. It's just, I can't even see him.
$25 million cap hit.
I can't even see Tony Romo. But seriously, Stephen Jones is starting to take over the franchise more and more. He is the last line of defense. He is the better judgment. Jerry will listen to only one human in the world, and that's that son. So maybe Stephen would say, he'd be smart enough to say, Dad. This is it.
Little Steven sitting on Big Jerry's shoulder like, nudging like, Dad, let him go.
This is what you got to do.
Let him go.